information session and live demonstration. Just letting you all know that today's session is going to be recorded. And if you need to pop out before it's over or you want to watch the recording, we can make that available to you. Before we get started, I just want to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land and pay respects to the elders past, present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I also want to acknowledge people with disability who have come before us and died in institutional settings, as well as those still trapped in institutions or silenced by institutional practices. We take on the responsibilities of being clear about the rights of all people with disability and, where necessary, speak in an informed and considered manner for those who cannot speak for themselves. Just a couple of quick housekeeping. As I said, the session's going to be recorded. For those of you who would like to enable closed captions, you can do that now by clicking on the More button on your toolbar, selecting Settings, Device Settings, Accessibility, and Enable Captions. And I think Beck will put those instructions in the chat. If you have a question today, we ask that you please just use the chat function at any time. Feel free to pop your questions in while people are speaking. However, we are going to just have a Q&A session at the very end. We will answer as many questions as time permits, and whatever we don't answer, we will circulate to the presenters and follow up with you via email. During the session, we're just asking if everyone can keep their microphones and videos off to limit sound interference and quality. So today's objectives, this is an interactive session that's going to focus on a high-level overview of the new Inclusive Futures Hub, our online platform, which is built on the past few years of the Dignity Project Hub. Today, you will get an overview of some available tools and example use cases, a discussion on the principles of engagement as they relate to the Hub, understanding of the benefits of the Hub software, some discussion on citizen science and recruitment pathways, and then how to engage with the Hub and when. So we are really lucky and grateful that Granicus, which is our software provider, has been able to join us today. We have a series of experts from within their team presenting. Granicus brings a deeper connection between organizations and the people they serve with more meaningful digital experiences, better community engagement, and a multi-channel approach. Today, we are joined by Miro Laffin, Leanne Robb, and Uma Berry. The first presenter is Miro Laffin, who's an implementation consultant at Granicus. She specializes in community development, funding, and administration, and brings a wealth of knowledge to her clients, of which we are one. The second presenter is Leanne Robb. Leanne is an engagement consultant at Granicus with more than 14 years experience in local government, community development, and community engagement and research. She is an expert in building effective and sustainable partnerships, engagement planning, implementation, and evaluation. And our third presenter is Uma Berry, a product manager at Granicus who has extensive experience in project change management and product transformation across various industries, including digital, not-for-profit, financial services, and media. So please make them feel very welcome, and I am going to hand over to Miro to start presenting.
Thank you, Kelsey, for that introduction, and hi, everybody. My name is Miro. I'm just going to share my screen here, 1 second. Get my slides started. Oh, my presenter view is not working. Sorry, guys, 1 second, always the way. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm just going to share my screen anyway. I just can't bring my slides up quite in full view. All right, so we're talking about Engagement HQ today, which is the platform that's being used to run the Inclusive Futures Hub. The purpose of Engagement HQ is to facilitate public participation. It provides a central place where you can host and analyse conversations with your community. The reason it's a great platform for research is that it is designed to share information with stakeholders in an easy and understandable way. It allows stakeholders to express their thoughts and their opinions using engaging and relevant tools. And it also gives you the opportunity to analyse the feedback that's been provided. So for those of you who are maybe not familiar with the Inclusive Futures Hub, this is the homepage that we have here. Our Engagement HQ platform, you can see you can offer a variety of media here. We've got videos that about the project. Participants can register, so you're building a database of your stakeholders. We've got presentation of our different project pages here, which we'll be talking to you about a bit. And we've got different search options as well. So when I'm referring to a project or a project page, this is what a project page on Engagement HQ looks like. You can use this to present your information. We can present your detail over here on the left-hand side. We have what we call widgets, which will sit down the right-hand side, and they allow you to present valuable information and resources about your project. And then down the bottom, we have our tools. So our engagement tools are a key part of the platform as well. So the variety of tools that we offer are here. So this is our tools spectrum. We classify our tools by this open, mixed or controlled environment. So on the far end of the open environment, we've got our forum tool. Participants can interact with each other. They can have an online chat. They can like and dislike each other's comments. So they're really, everything's shared in one public space. It's very transparent and people can collaborate with each other. And then down at the far end, we've got the more traditional space of surveys where you're collecting data from your participants and their responses are coming back to you guys to analyse. So I'm just going to show you a couple of these tools in action. Now, this is a project from Let's Talk Parks Canada. They are engaging with their customers about the accessibility of their parks, and they're using our ideas tool. So this is the ideas tool. If we just take a look at it, it allows participants to post their thoughts and their ideas and suggestions about this particular topic in a very open way. So you're really allowing space for people to express their views and suggestions. People will post their idea here. They can give it a heading. They can write further introduction and further information. They can like other participants' ideas and they can comment on each other's ideas as well. So we have a very open space here. The ideas tool can be a really great visual space as well. So people can share images with their ideas. You can create a really lovely visual board to kind of allow your community to express how they're feeling about a project or where they want to go in the future. This was a particular photo contest. And then this is sort of putting the two together. So this is Brisbane City Council engaging on the future of their city. And you can see here that people are really getting involved. They had, I think, over 400 ideas shared here. And we've got a great combination of thoughts and visual images to express what the future of the city should look like. Another tool that can be really useful is our Places tool. It's a mapping tool. So whilst the ideas tool is like that free expression, the mapping tool works really well if you need to gather feedback that's linked to a specific geographic location. So this particular example, they were trying to improve the accessibility of their town centre. You can see on the map, they've designated the location of their engagement. You can write a nice introduction, give your participants instructions, and then you can create pin categories, which participants drag and drop onto the map. So you can set what these categories will be. For here, they've gone for identifying particular barriers to people. Participants drag these over, add them to the map, and they can add it with a comment or an image as well of the issue. Now, while this particular example that we looked at is just highlighting the location of the engagement, you can do different things with the map. You can choose what your base layer is going to be. You can upload certain layers to create different looks and feels. So here we've got an example where they're highlighting zones and indicating master planning zones in their map. And here we've got an example, like a fairly complex one, where they're highlighting routes. So this is an engagement on trails. And so they've highlighted a lot of different trails in here. And they have also an additional option that you have is when participants drag and drop their pin onto the map, they add their comment. So I've clicked onto a pin here. This is the comment from a participant. And you can build extra questions into your pins as well. So you can ask your participants for further specific information about why they're dropping that pin in that location. And then this is our survey tool. So you've probably all seen a survey before, but just an idea of what the look and feel is. In our survey tool, we have a variety of different question types. Got some free text options here, email address fields, checklist options, radio buttons. So just a little look and feel there. Essay boxes as well. And you can build your survey over multiple pages, and you can build some logic into your survey as well. So we have, as I said, we have a variety of tools. That's just a few. When it comes to running your projects, you can have different visibility settings on your projects. So whilst these projects on the Inclusive Futures Hub are public projects, anyone can click into them and take a look at the information. You can have different settings as well. So for instance, you can have a paneled project. This particular instance here is where we've got participants or the group of stakeholders that are allowed to participate in this project are sharing their thoughts, but the general community can only view the information. So you can see they can't actually get involved, they can just watch what's happening. And then you can also have protected groups. If you need to engage with a select group of stakeholders, you can have a protected project where participants need to sign in before they can view the content. We do also offer moderation of our more open tools. So we have a team of moderators that work 24/7 and will monitor contributions to those open tools as well. Now, the final feature that I wanted to give you a little taste of is our analytics. Engagement HQ offers inbuilt analytics. So you can see here, this is just a project on a demo site. This is just an example of an engagement getting involved into a park design. We have a simple little survey here that participants can fill out. And then we can look at these results in the back end. So we can get information about how many people visited the project, how they engaged on it, how they made their way to the project as well. We have analysis tools that you can utilize too. So we have text analysis for free text or qualitative type feedback. Within the site, you can look at all of the open comments that have been submitted to you. You can tag and theme within the back end of the site. You can search for keywords. You can turn on other features like our sentiment analysis. So you can see do a bit of a temperature check on the feedback that people are providing to you. And you can utilize demographics as well. So demographics from the site registration form allow you to filter your data down further within the site. So these are questions that have been asked as part of the registration process. And I can use this to look at all feedback from any of the female participants, for instance. The other analysis option that we offer is the survey analysis tool. So we have this one here where you can look at your quantitative feedback. You get all these lovely graphs and presentation of your data. These can be downloaded. So you can download these as your own images to drop into your own reports. Or we do have report templates that you can download and utilize as well. One of those is a codified report. So you can download the data from your survey responses in this codified format, and you can plug it back through your own data analysis systems such as Power BI. And then this survey analysis tool also offers some additional analysis based on demographics or questions that have been asked within the survey. So I can choose to filter, compare, or conduct cross-tab analysis. I can filter responses within this survey analysis tool based on any questions that have been asked within the survey or questions that have been asked within the registration form. So again, I could be filtering to see all of the responses from my female participants, for instance. Now, that is just a little, or fast, I would say, quick overview of the features and functions of Engagement HQ. I'm going to hand you over to now to Leanne Robb, who's our engagement consultant, and she's going to speak to you in a bit more detail about running a project on Engagement HQ. So go ahead, Leanne.
Thank you, Miro, and hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good day so far. I'm just going to attempt my presenting in Teams here, so please just bear with us. Hopefully this will come up okay. After Miro was having some problems, I was practicing it too, and it wasn't doing presenter mode very good, but here we are. Can everyone see that? Hopefully, sing out if there's any issues with it coming up on screen. So as Miro said, thanks, Miro. So as engagement consultant, I guess I get asked quite regularly, like, you know, what are the benefits of an online platform, you know, in terms of our engagement and in terms of our research work. So I wanted to just highlight some, you know, key points that, you know, hopefully most of you will sort of recognise anyway, being in the roles that you are. But basically, things like EHQ, it's around information and knowledge sharing. So this provides a platform for you to share information about what it is that you're working on, best practice and resources with your sector or with your community. It provides really good networking and collaboration. So it's a place where people can come together to build relationships, exchange ideas, and collaborate on projects or solutions. It offers peer support and mentoring in the team in the terms of engagement and research, because it provides a supportive space where people can connect with others who might be facing similar challenges or experiences as they are. So the tools that we offer on Engagement HQ provide that safe space and allow people to have meaningful conversations with each other. It's also around advocacy and awareness raising in the time, in the work that we do. So online platforms such as Engagement HQ serve as advocacy platforms, raising awareness again about particular topics and particular issues that we want to communicate with our sector or with our community. It's also about accessible and inclusive communication. So again, it provides channels that accommodate different needs and preferences within our community or sector. And then that inclusivity fosters a sense of belonging and ensuring that voices and perspectives of individuals are represented and valued. So these are sort of the key principles that, underpin the work that Engagement HQ or this online platform will do. Similarly, as Miro's just shown us there are a variety of tools that you can use on this platform to do the project and evoke the conversations with your community or with your sector that you're trying to achieve. It offers diverse data collections. So having different tools provides multiple channels for collecting data from the community. And then that variety allows, obviously, us as researchers to gather a wide range of perspectives, insights, and experiences that lead to a more comprehensive understanding of our community that we're working with. It's also around increasing participation. So by offering a variety of engagement tools on our platform, you can accommodate different preferences and participation levels with the people that you're reaching. So, for instance, some individuals may be more comfortable expressing their opinions through surveys, while others might prefer to participate in an online discussion or participate through using an ideation board, as Miro showed us before. So I guess you could say by catering to diverse engagement preferences, we can encourage greater participation and ensure that a broader spectrum of community members contribute their views. Enhanced data quality. So again, we say that by offering a multitude of different tools, we do enhance data quality. As you probably would realise, different engagement tools yield different types of data. So again, combining quantitative data from surveys with some of our qualitative insights from our ideas boards or our discussion forums, this can provide a more comprehensive understanding again of our communities and their perspectives, their attitudes, their behaviours. A multi-method approach helps ensure that we capture the complexity and the nuances of the community more accurately. Having a variety of tools also, we can target our engagement. We can be more specific. So, for instance, we can tailor an engagement tool for a specific demographic or target group. We can ensure representation and inclusivity in our data collection efforts. So an example might be that we might, use something like an ideation tool, particularly to reach younger people, who like, we could run like as Miro showed us, a photo comp, you can do all sorts of things with the tools on offer that actually really appeal to different segments of our community. Iterative and adaptive research, using that variety of tools means you gather preliminary insights using one tool. You can then analyse that data, then you can refine your research questions or methods based on those initial findings. So you can employ different tools in subsequent rounds of engagement to delve deeper into specific areas or validate those initial findings that you had. So you might start by using a survey and analyse that data, but then in subsequent rounds, you might choose to partake in a discussion forum or, using storytelling to get a richer quality of information coming through from your respective community. It's also about holistic community understanding. So having a diverse range of tools on offer allows you to capture different dimensions such as demographics, beliefs, values, motivations, barriers, and aspirations, again, giving further insights into the context or the challenges and the opportunities within that community. And this means that you are able to develop more targeted interventions, policy or programs that align with community needs. So I just wanted to show you, and I'll just bring up some examples here. Can everyone see that example of a project page? Mira, you might have to give me the thumbs up there to make sure it's come across.
No, I think you just need to stop sharing the slides and share the internet, share your internet.
Go again. Yeah. Okay, let me know if that's come up.
Yeah, got it.
Thank you. So this is just some examples, as I said, of these are other clients that are currently using EHQ, and these are some of the project pages that they have set up to help, you know, get their projects out there and hear from their community. So this is actually the City of Vaughan. It's a Canadian client, but again, they're doing a consultation or wanting to do engagement around their multi-year accessibility plan. And you can see that, like as Mira said, down the right-hand side where they've used widgets, they've tailored them for specific things. So they're asking people if they want to stay informed to the project. I love this bit particularly where they're saying, share your input on participating in this activity. So how are we doing? You know, giving the community the ability to help shape the way that you do engage with them. And for the tools here, the newsfeed is incredibly popular in terms of providing ongoing updates, and we'll talk about this a little bit later as well. But keeping the community updated on what you're doing or reporting back on consultation outcomes, the newsfeed is a lovely way of doing that. Another example, hopefully this has changed over for you. This is about putting together an access and inclusion advisory group. And you can see here that they've deployed a variety of tools again. So they're using a newsfeed to keep their community up to date. They've deployed a survey for specific questions that they want to ask the community. They've also got the ideas board sitting here. And they've also offered, so they're taking ideas there, and they've also offered Q&A. So if people have got a question that they might want to ask you to clarify the information or get more of an understanding, they can do so through the Q&A. So as I said, widgets are fantastic for providing all of that additional information, how long the program's going for, who's actually listening to this feedback, putting in FAQs, documents, etc. We've got another quick, I'm just mindful of time. So another quick example, again, the tools that this client selected to use are again around storytelling, their ideas board, they've run a quick poll. So they've just got a really quick question that they want to ask, or it might even be a question that's come out of their survey that they'd like to get a little bit more quant data on or some data on. So they've also offered that as a quick poll to get people to partake in that. So I'll just stop sharing that again, and we'll just bring up my last slide because I am mindful of time. So the key takeaways from my perspective is, one thing to remember when you're doing your research and you're doing your projects is that we say engagement is never set and forget. You know, be sure to continue to monitor the feedback coming through and be prepared to change course if something's not working. You know, if people aren't engaging with you, have a think about, you know, the types of tools that you might like to use that might, you know, foster more of that engagement. Be very sure to update your project pages. When people take the time to provide you with their feedback, it's incredibly courteous to then, if they're going to jump back into that project page to see where things are at, that there's some updates or even a consultation outcome report. Keep sharing the story and the progress of your work with the people that have engaged with you. Closing the loop is something that I tend to stress very, very firmly, in that, again, it's about if you've done a consultation piece, please feed back those results. Let those people know who took that time to engage with you. Let them know that what the outcomes of that consultation are. That's me in a nutshell. I'm now going to hand over to Uma, who's going to run you through just a little bit around accessibility.
Thanks. Thanks very much, Leanne. Let's see, can everyone see that? All right.
Yes.
So my name is, sorry, what was that?
I was just saying, yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks, Leanne. So my name is Uma. I'm a product manager for Engagement HQ, and it is my absolute pleasure to be here today. So in my update, I'll quickly run through how Engagement HQ aims to comply with accessibility standards to enable more inclusive engagements for our customers. So Granicus is committed to ongoing accessibility improvements, and in the next few slides, I'll briefly show you what that translates to for a couple of our engagement tools, and some of those engagement tools have been showcased today. Engagement HQ as a platform aims to be WCAG compliant, and for those of you who, like me, dislike not knowing what an acronym means, WCAG stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So how do we do that? All of our product builds and enhancements aim to comply with WCAG 2.1 AA, which is the current standard, starting with our product designs. We build the principles of accessibility into our development and testing processes. For example, when we build new features, our acceptance criteria incorporates those standards, and our definition of done means that we have met those standards. We test for accessibility by using screen readers, for example. We test on different devices and different browsers. We also have an external consultant that specialises in accessibility, who runs an audit every 6 months, and any non-compliance accessibility bugs are planned in our ongoing work. We know that accessibility standards change, and so having access to a specialist consultant who is able to translate that latest standard into his audit really enables us to be at the forefront of accessibility on an ongoing basis. And then when accessibility issues are raised by our customers, we prioritise those bug fixes. So we do acknowledge we don't get everything right the first time, but we certainly hope to capture them through our customer support processes. However, there are accessibility issues that are outside our control. For example, when you embed an image into an Engagement HQ project page, it isn't magically nor immediately accessible. The end user needs to do something and have a little bit of knowledge themselves that they need to that you need to add an alt text or alternative text to describe that image. If you include a link to our project page, you need to include a unique description for that link. That isn't something we can do. But we do have some helpful resources available to help you guide through this, and there's a few articles on our help desk page. So just in terms of new work that will be released this year, the next 2 slides will give you a bit of a flavour of the tools that will be at the forefront of our accessibility improvements. And the first one here, as Miro and both Leanne have touched on previously, is our survey tool. And so for those of you who are unfamiliar with Engagement HQ, our surveys are our most used engagement tool. We enable our customers to collect feedback through the survey, which can be accessed in our platform, as shown by Miro and Leanne. It can also be embedded on any website. So you can take that website and just embed it into your corporate website or your university website outside of our platform, and it can be accessed via different devices and browsers. The enhancements we are rolling out this year will enable our survey tool to be compliant to WCAG 2.1 AA standards. It will also be more performant with responsive designs on mobile. This year, we're also working on improving access to surveys through email for survey input, which will also be accessible. And while our focus is to expand access to surveys using multiple channels, we are absolutely committed to making sure that those surveys will be accessible to all people through those channels for more inclusive engagement. A little later this year, we're progressing a similar refresh to our ideas tool. So you might have seen the ideas tool looked quite plain, still very, very functional, but we know we can do better with that tool. It's originally built as an online ideation tool. However, many of our customers have taken it from its original purpose and used it for other use cases. And the examples cited by Leanne include photo competitions. Other customers have used them to prioritise projects. So the refresh this year, it's not just a new look and feel, which in my opinion is absolutely beautiful. It's accessible and responsive. It can be embedded in a different website outside of our platform or work as a standalone activity. It's performant and lays the foundation for new configurations. The revamp you see here on the screen is currently in development, and you'll see, and it will set the foundation for many digital engagement use cases, and we can't wait to show you. So that's my very quick update. And so I'll hand it over to you, Kelsey.
Thanks, everyone. I know that's a lot of information to digest, and I'm going to throw some more at you, just very, very briefly and quickly to go through a couple of key points. So obviously, we've heard from Leanne, Uma, and Miro about some of the features and benefits of the hub. I want to talk about this in the context of the work that we all do as researchers and also within this kind of Griffith ecosystem. Obviously, the accessibility and the innovation of the tools is something that we don't have access to currently in other Griffith products and services. We have trialed the platform in the Voice of Queenslanders and a couple of other studies, and it worked really well for people who use screen readers, who navigate sites using their keyboards, and who have low vision. So that was really successful from our point of view. There's some user requirements, like Uma mentioned, using appropriate alt text and proper headings and taggings, and using some simple, clear language. And that's something that our team can support you in as we review your page prior to accessibility. For accessibility prior to launch. The range of tools, specifically the ideas tools and the places tools, I know a few of you are really excited about using those. Beyond those kind of innovative tool options, there's some clear improvements in the design and delivery of the survey tool than other products that we have available to us at Griffith. Specifically, improved ease of use and survey logic. I know that some of the other survey tools we use can be a bit clunky in having a nice flow to the logic, particularly not for the end user, but for the researcher. I have built a couple of surveys now using the tool, and it is much easier. Likert scales are accessible and easily navigatable for people who use keyboards. And there's some really unique question formats. I think you saw like the GIF kind of smiley faces. There's a couple of different little unique things that make it easier for participants and easier for us as researchers. It means that there's also the opportunity for participants to upload documents, audio, and video files as responses, which is great. As Miro mentioned, the tools can be public facing, they can be protected, just depends on your project and your audience. Obviously, from an analytics perspective, we found it to be a real time saver. So not only do you have that AI hot take sentiment analysis, it doesn't replace qualitative analysis, but it can give you some real-time insight into how the project and the engagement's going. Also, we found that the data dashboards that you can download as a PNG or a JPEG or a PDF, you can slot those straight into reports, which cuts down on a lot of time that you might have to do in Excel. It's kind of like integrating Power BI directly into the platform without you having to build anything. We found that that was really great for engaging with external stakeholders who don't understand why we can't provide them with insights more rapidly. And so it enabled us to kind of close the loop and have some better project tracking. There is a really great function. So I think you might have heard Miro talk about this kind of registration idea that people can register. And we are pushing most of our participants, or encouraging most of our participants across all of our data collection to register for the Inclusive Futures Hub. What that means for them is when they register, it collects some basic demographics that then populates across every engagement that they participate in. So you get access to that data when they complete your ideas tool, and someone else might get access to that data when they complete the survey tool. So it just cuts down on the amount of questions they're having to repeatedly answer, especially if they're participating across a lot of our projects. And it decreases the burden on you to collect that demographic data every time. The project pages obviously present an opportunity for you to communicate about your research publicly if you want to, or within a closed network, depending on your project and preference. We are currently using it to track some offline data collection using a timeline widget. We've got documents and important information hosted online, including PICFs, flyers, and resources. And I just think it increases trust and transparency and makes it much easier to close the loop. In terms of this membership and the registration, we already have over 300 people with disability that comes from our citizen science pool. There's an opportunity for people who use Engagement HQ, the Inclusive Futures Hub, to distribute your research to that active community and get it seen. We're having between 12 and 20 website views per day, and that's with us doing very little promotion and only a couple of projects so far. So I think there's a real opportunity to be seen by the exact people that we want to be seen by. This isn't just for people with disability, though, and I want to dispel that myth really clearly. This is for any audience that you're engaging with. So that might be health practitioners, it might be a combination of co-design projects, it might be industry members, and this is all really suitable to engage publicly. So how to engage and when, and is this for me? So just like at a quick admin level, if you come away from today going, yep, this is for me, this is for my project, I want to get involved, you can just go ahead and email Inclusive Futures or book directly into my Calendly, which the link's right there, book a time slot, and we can talk about your setup if you have any questions. Ideally, projects that are going already, we can certainly support. We've done that a couple of times where you already have ethics and you might have scaffolded out a survey to be on Microsoft Teams or Lime Survey or REDCap, and we can help you transition that to the Inclusive Futures Hub pretty quickly. Ideally, everyone would start early at project design prior to ethics so that you can include this mechanism within your ethics application. We have some language around what this is and the IT kind of implications, servers, and all that boring stuff. We have that language, so you can just drag and drop that straight into your ethics application. I think what's really important is to think about what you want out of your data collection in a bit more of an innovative way. So you might say, okay, I want to do co-design, and I want to do co-design of an NDIS resource, for example, with people with disability and service providers. So you might not be sure how this all works for you. At the very beginning, you might consult with someone from our team. We could help suggest a couple of different tools that you might use, because there are a couple of different ways to approach this. You might decide that an ideas tool is really great for digital co-design, but you also want to hold focus groups offline and put those focus group recordings, make them available to a closed participant network. So we can set up a protected project page, which means it's only available to the people you make it available to. It's kind of like Teams in that way. You can restrict who has access. You might then decide that's gone really well, and now you want some feedback on a prototype that you've developed. We can put that resource up there with a quick survey or with a forum so that people can comment and engage. And then again, we can close the loop by putting up your reporting documents and your results. So at a very high level, that's how it might work for you. There are 3 levels of packages. You know, we're saying 3 levels. It's a very bespoke and tailored process. So each researcher is going to need different things out of the engagement platform. And that's what it's here for, to be really tailored and bespoke for what you need from it. There is a cost. So that's when I say package. There is an associated cost. There is what we're calling the bronze package, which is that project page that Miro showed you and Leanne, and the tools. That's going to be mostly self-service. That might look something like, I'm just going to do a survey. I want to upload the details about my project. I can do that myself. I can build out the survey because it's really easy to use, and I can make the page live. It comes with a couple of hours of support. So you might want to check in with us about the alt text and accessibility, or what widgets you should include, or if you might need a news feed or something like that. So we can help you structure some of that. Then there's an increasing level, the silver, which includes all the same things as the bronze. It also includes some recruitment support, as that is a major pain point that we all experience. So that might look like you sending out a advertisement or a flyer to the database that we have. That can be really targeted. That might be really generic, and we can work with you to customize that. And then the gold package is full service, the help of myself and Beck and our team. It also includes citizen scientists recruitment. So that's something we haven't really talked about, but part of this whole Inclusive Futures Hub is the fact that we want people to be using inclusive research methods. So whether that's co-design or citizen science, we can work with you to send out an EOI, identify who might be a good fit for you, and help support you to be able to get the most out of your citizen researchers or people engaging in co-design, and vice versa, to make sure that it's a dignified process for everybody. Just want to dispel a couple of quick myths, and then we'll get into Q&A. So like I said, there is a cost involved for most people and most of these packages. I just want to say they're really cost effective. So your bronze and silver could be afforded by a PhD student with their stipend that they get from the university. So we're talking about something that's a nominal cost, and that essentially pays for the time of people to help you set up your page and give you that support. We are going to offer some pro bono project spaces. So that's specifically for like honors students or people from marginalized communities or people who might not have external funding. So if you think you might qualify for that, we're happy to chat with you. You don't need tech experience to use this space. It is very intuitive and user-friendly. It's, you know, nothing beyond the capability of any of us in this meeting. I'm just looking through who's here. Any of us can use it. There is just a bit of a nuance with like, where are things located? And it just requires a little bit of a play. So I say it's not difficult. It doesn't mean that it's not a little bit time consuming, but it's not any more time consuming than generating a QR code, sending out your newsletter advertisement, building your Microsoft Teams survey, making sure that all integrates and work properly. It is more streamlined than that, especially for your end users. As I said, this isn't just for people with disability. So this is for engagement with any participant pool, external to Griffith or internal to Griffith even. So we just want to dispel that myth. And we hope that you think about it in a really broad spectrum of engagement. I do just want to clarify, it doesn't replace Teams or SharePoint. So in saying that, like this doesn't have a sync client, so you couldn't work on a document collaboratively on here. It could replace Teams. As I said, there's like a forum tool, so you could meet together in that space or share ideas in that space rather than a Teams, but it doesn't have that sync client to collaborate on documents. And as I said, this is an inclusive futures tool. So it's not just the Dignity Project. We've expanded beyond there, building on the success that we've had over the last few years. Excuse me. So I might just see if we have any quick questions. If you can pop them into the chat or else, you know, turn your microphone on and feel free to ask away. If you have specific questions for our Granicus people, we just ask that you do put them in the chat and they might reply to them via email directly to you after the fact.
Kelsey, it's Morris.
Hi, Morris.
So tell me, you've obviously done a lot of work behind the scenes and you've come to this incredible product. What was it that drew you to this product as against others? What makes this so wonderful?
I think it solves a lot of problems that we as researchers have within the university environment. So one is the clunkiness and the lack of streamlined processes to communicate about our research. So typically, you know, you might have a Lime survey or something on RedCap or something on Teams, on Microsoft Forms, and then you're needing a different way to communicate with people about your research and then trying to direct them. And you lose people in the process of all of those clicks. So this provides a really streamlined one-stop shop, people who are interested in inclusive futures or just in your research. It makes it much easier to use, both from a project management perspective and from an end user perspective. We were obviously drawn to Engagement HQ because of its commitment to accessibility. And I'm not sure if UMA said, but they are continuing to pursue WCAG 3.0 compliance. So that was a really important thing for us. We received a lot of feedback about the clunkiness of Microsoft Forms and the difficulty with navigating Likert scales and different modes of participation. You know, in Microsoft Forms, you can't have your PICF. There's not an easy way to have, you know, uploading different documents. So this kind of, again, overcomes some of those hurdles. From my perspective, the greatest thing was in this use case of Voice of Queenslanders when we you know, piloted this and we had over 450 participants with really diverse disability. And that felt like a real success to me, knowing that it was easy for a broad spectrum of people with disability to use. And we thought that that would be the case. So it was really great to see that come to fruition. And I think the other key point for me is the ability to quickly engage cross researchers. So it's an opportunity for us to see what other people are doing that we might not know, that we don't often communicate with, or that our participants might be interested in someone else's project. And so it's a way to kind of bring all of our work together in a collaborative way.
Kelsey, Coral's asking, another logistics question. For public-facing project pages, how long can or will these be hosted for? That is, do we need to consider factoring in long-term hosting fees beyond the life of the project if we want the information to remain available publicly online?
Yes, the short answer is yes. There is an ongoing maintenance cost, particularly for projects that have ceased, but you want those resources to have a life beyond the end of the project. That's something that we have just submitted a grant application that actually required that. And so we just build that into the cost of our grant application. And that's why I said it's really ideal for people to engage with us early, because we can work with you on how to cost this up. If it's an activity or a line item that can be costed up into your grant budget, I know they're often really tight. So again, we can work with you about how to approach this. And it isn't expensive. We do have some indicative costs. I'm not going to share them today because it really does depend on what you need specifically. So there's some basic costs, but it will depend if you have a 12-month project, a 3-year project, a 1-month project, and you know, we can work with you individually to find something that's going to suit your needs. But yeah, it's kind of at your disposal to design and use as you need.
And we've spoken at length about this before, but one of the things I love is this incredible program, this incredible community that you've found, but also the community that you have in Dignity Project. And I know not everyone on this call is going to use both of them, but the synergy of the two of them are quite incredible. The ability to be access the Dignity Project. Can you take us just down that road for just a little bit? What that might mean and what it offers?
Yeah, I think that's, the database of participants that we've cultivated and also the process for how we engage them. And I think, gosh, I could go on about it forever, and I noticed we have 2 minutes. So the short version is that we have worked at length with people with disability to gain their trust and to be viewed as a trusted resource for research. We've got some key partnerships with QDN, and we're able to manage the co-design and citizen engagement process in a really dignified and inclusive manner. That looks like being able to pay people to participate on your research outside of the typical difficulties we encounter within the university. It looks like being able to find people who want to pursue research, not just as participants, but in a professional capacity for their lived experience. I think the value out of this, we all know that we should be doing inclusive research. The value of it just blows me away every time. And I'm, a convert, but every time I do it, I'm just blown away at the contribution that the citizen researchers bring to your project and that really new level of insights. So I would just encourage people to consider how you might use that. Again, like I said, we have over 300 people with disability already within that database ready to hear about your work. And I've got some CVs as well from citizen scientists we've already used. So we've vetted, their capability and their willingness to contribute on an ongoing basis to research. And I have their CVs, and I'd be really happy to share that with any of you. So that's kind of the high level overview.
And our last question for the afternoon, but of course, if there are other questions, pop them in the chat and we'll get back to you after this call. But the last question that's in the chat at the moment is, of the different Granicus tools that were presented, the ideas tools, the places tools, engagement HQ, are all of these available in self-service mode in the basic or the bronze package, or only in the silver gold levels of package?
Yep, they're all available in the basic levels. So there's no limit to what tools you use. It's only the amount of time you have access to them and the level of support that you're going to get in using them. So for our really tech savvy people who feel like they don't need any support, the basic package is probably right for you, unless you're looking to do that really robust citizen engagement. But if you're not needing technical support, that's all available to you in the basic package. There will be limits. So Granicus has, as part of our engagement with them, there are available support hours. So that's just the one thing I would ask you when you are in the back end of the platform. There are support tools that are available. And we have spoken with Granicus at length. That's high-level support queries have to come through the Griffith Inclusive Futures team because those queries are prioritized and they detract from our hours. So if you do have support questions, we're your first port of call, and then we can direct you to who at Granicus might be appropriate to speak with if that's required. And there are a lot of self-service support tools online, how-tos, and we can always take you through that as needed.
So thanks for that, Kelsey, and thank you for everyone for joining us this afternoon. My name's Morris Mizzle. I'm joyous enough to be part of the Griffith Futures Inclusive team. Thank you to the Granicus team for providing this incredible platform and for working with us to be able to offer it to you. To Miro, to Leanne, to Uma, thank you for giving us your time and your information. We look forward to an ongoing, wonderful relationship with you. To Beck, thank you as always behind the scenes. And of course to Kelsey for bringing us all on screen and for helping us to understand this. Her Calendly notes are in the chat, and of course she's available on email or at the end of a phone. Really, really looking forward to seeing what we can do with this most incredible tool. Thank you to everyone again for joining us online. Questions, comments, and hopefully joining us, all available after this call. Have a great afternoon, everyone, till we meet again. Thank you for coming along.
Thanks, everyone. I will hang on for about 5 minutes if people have a specific question that they want to ask me, outside of the larger group. Feel free to hang around and we can discuss.